North Carolina and Radford showed up for a foul-a-thon, and wouldn't you know it, a basketball game broke out.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up? It's Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, still Veterans Day. Make sure you say thank you to a veteran if you have not already done so today. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, postcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Thanks so much for making us your first listener watch after the game to get going. Man, love the energy of these live postcasts. Special shout out to all the everydayers who are here with us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, all our great insiders as well. What's up, everybody? This episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Download it and get started today. North Carolina beats Radford 89-74. It's the craziest thing. These guys all showed up thinking they were going to just have a little foul-a-thon, and it's like, hey, while we're together, let's play a basketball game. I mean, it felt like that. Good grief. 80 free throws, combined 55 combined fouls. It was absurd. There was no pace. Awful. But whatever. Carolina, 3-0. That's the most important thing. They got a dub, and really, hear me say this. Do not let the final score be any indication of what this game was. This was a game where if Carolina wanted to pour on the gas, they could have poured on the gas and got to biscuits easily, and that's fine, and that's whatever. 89-74, that's your actual final score. Let's see if Ken Palm has updated yet. It has. Carolina came into this game 24th in the nation at Ken Palm, 17th in offensive efficiency, 41st in defensive efficiency. And we've been wondering, when is that defensive number going to go up? Well, guess what? It just did. Carolina falls to 26th in offensive efficiency. Got to get back up there. But the defense goes from 41st to 29th. So Carolina is now top 30 at Ken Palm in both offensive and defensive efficiency. I expect them to be even higher and better in both of those as the season carries along. If those of you who are new to us, so glad you're here. Here's what we do on these postcasts. We will talk big picture. We'll talk nitty gritty of the game. We'll take your comments and questions and observations over in the chat, which is already popping off. If you're not in there, go in there right now. And then later on tonight, Coach Rob and I will record the Wednesday show together. That's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, good night for the ACC. Could have been a great night. Louisville is trucking Kentucky right now. If you missed that, Wake Forest almost won at Michigan and Elliott Cadeau. That game went to overtime. They barely lost. Florida State almost won at Florida, reigning national champion. And then Boston College, who is woefully awful, lost again. Can we get rid of them from the ACC, please? Let's dive right into it. Here's the stuff from this game. One of the things I wondered about, we even talked about it on today's podcast. What is Carolina going to do post-Kansas? You have that big win. You're feeling good. Is there a letdown? Also, Seth Trimble, not in this game. Obviously, how are you going to circle the wagons after that? I imagined that there would be a post-Kansas, no Seth Trimble letdown, and boy, was there. And understandably so, right? Like, these are college kids trying to find their way in the world, right? Like, yes, they're professionals because they're paid, and that's a whole thing. But they are not going to get up like they did for Kansas game in and game out. I still want to see them be killers, but the game that happens 48 hours after you lose your senior captain for an indefinite amount of time, you're going to have some hiccups as you're trying to figure out who are we now, at least until we get Seth back. And that can't be solved and that can't be figured out in 48 hours. And we saw the evidence of that tonight in this basketball game. It was just a kind of sleepy game. The fouls didn't hurt it, but think about Seth in this basketball game, right? He helps Carolina athletically. He helps finish at the rim. The free throw numbers would have been better. He is an 80% free throw, right? Like all of that. So again, it's going to take some time to figure out who are you now without Seth Trimble. And that's why if it has to happen, it's good that it happens at a moment like this where you've got Radford, NC Central, who is about as bad as Central Arkansas, and then Navy. And that's the thing I want to say too. Keep in mind, not all mid-majors are created the same. Whereas Central Arkansas, whereas NC Central this weekend are both like 350-ish in the nation, Radford is like 150 at Ken Pom. That's no snoozer, right? Like the worst ACC teams last year were lower than that. Louisville, when they were awful for those 2 seasons, was right around 200. So Radford is actually a good mid-major test. That said, had Carolina wanted to pour it on, this game was like a 24-25 point game at one point. I know you're frustrated if you bet the spread on this because Carolina didn't cover that. Fine, whatever. And I bet there's also, I can guarantee there are a vast number of you out there frustrated right now because Carolina didn't look great down the stretch. And that's going to ruin our net rankings. No, it's not. What's going to ruin our net rankings is if you lose to Kansas. It's if you lose to St. Bonaventure and Michigan State. That's what's going to hurt you. Winning this game by, whatever it was, 15, fine, whatever. Would you like to get by 20, 21, 22? Yeah, in fact, I predicted it. But the sleepy start just doesn't help that. And I should have taken that into better account if we're being honest. Now, speaking of which, one of the things we had to project for this game is what does the starting lineup look like in a post-Seth Trimble world, like a post-apocalyptic world. My assumption was that you keep everything else the same, and instead of Luka Bogavac coming in at the 3, which I expected him to do at some point, he comes in at the 2, and that's exactly what happened. Everything else stayed the same. Kyan Evans, Jiren Stevenson, Caleb Wilson, Henry Vasar, and then Luka Bogavac. Now, let's start there by talking about Luka. This is where I'm like, you guys, can we please be patient? People are whining and moaning and like I literally saw people saying Luka Bogavac equals Cade Tyson. I saw statements like that this evening. What are we? No. Also, Cade is killing it up at Minnesota. Way to go, Cade. Keep it up. Look, Luka Bogavac has been like, I don't have to give you his biography. I don't have to give you his resume or his CV, right? Like Luka is a dude. And I get it. He has started slow in the Central Arkansas and the Kansas games and tonight. But you know what? This dude has been eligible for a little bit over a week. This dude has come to America late in the game for the first time. He's going to get up to speed. Give him time. And he did that. Like tonight is a microcosm of that. He started, Luka did, 0 of 6 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, and 2 of 4 at the free throw line. As he pressed on the rest of the game, Luka was 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Shooters have to shoot. And I can guarantee you, Hubert Davis, Marcus Page, Jeff Lebo are over there on the sideline saying, buddy, you're good. Keep shooting. I guarantee you when Coach Rob and I record our Tuesday or our Wednesday show here in just a little bit after I finish this, and I ask him about Luka, he's going to say, I love that Luka kept getting balls up on the rim. That's exactly what he's going to say. But you know what I love that Luka did? He was struggling from 3, so he kept putting them up, but he also started getting inside a little bit more and doing those things. And here's the other important thing that Luka did. Because of his professionalism, he realizes, hey, you know what? I got to find other ways to contribute. So Luka Bogavac ends this game. Let me get back to the box score, which I'm going to pull up for us here in a little bit. But Luka finishes this game with 5 assists, 0 turnovers, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals, plus 26 for the game is the highest Tar Heel in plus minus. Actually tied with Kyan Evans for the lead in assists. And again, 0 turnovers. That is what high-level players do. If the shot's not going in, they find ways to get efficient looks, and they contribute in other ways. Luka was getting tips. I didn't count the number of tips he had as well, getting hands on the ball, other stuff. Man, that's really, really encouraging. There was also a scary sign right out of the gate because we already knew we were going to be without Seth Trimble. By the way, love that Seth is on the sideline, bandaged up. He's in the game. Great stuff there. Third defensive possession of the game. Radford gets a little bit of a run out. 2 Tar Heels. I forget who the other one was, but Jiren Stevenson was the other one getting back. Tried to block the shot, comes down, rolls his ankle, and is down for a little bit. And you're like, oh my gosh. When it rains, it pours. Seth's gone, and maybe Jiren's got a bum ankle here, right? And in a matter of 48 hours, you lose 40% of your starting lineup right now. That's not good. But the good news is Jiren was able to get taped up, came back in later in the first half. How much time was left? I took that down in my notes. Let me find where it was. 9:16 left in the first half. So basically missed a quarter of the game, getting taped up and everything going. But here's what I loved, man. When Jiren Stevenson came back in this game, a lot of times when you come back from like an ankle or a lower body thing, you're a little bit gimpy. Maybe you're not going as hard. This was the most aggressive I've seen Jiren Stevenson as a Tar Heel so far. He comes back in, immediately gets a block. The next possession gets an offensive rebound and gets fouled when he puts it back and hits both of them. You know that Jiren Stevenson is not a great free throw shooter. In this game, you know what Jiren Stevenson did while everyone else was sucking at the free throw line? He went 10 of 12. Jiren Stevenson had 15 points, the third most on this team, and only took 6 shots to get there. Why? Because he was attacking and getting to the free throw line. That's what I love. I don't want to see the Tar Heels settling for long shots. He did not, and that's great. Also, Jiren contributed, like one of the things we said with Seth out, who's going to step up and be a rebounder? Jiren helped that in a big way. 7 rebounds for Jiren. Carolina had 55 as a team to 43 for Radford. So they were plus 12 on the glass, just like they were Friday night against Kansas. What else did Jiren do? Let's look while we're here. A steal, just 1 turnover, no assists. But man, 15 and 7 and getting to the free throw line 12 times. Really, really good from Jiren there. Now, one of the interesting things, we haven't gotten to talking about Caleb Wilson yet. This was his first game of adversity. 3 first half fouls, and you wondered, how would he respond in the second half, or would he be a non-factor? Great to see Caleb have to deal with adversity. We'll talk about how he handled it coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Game Time, you guys, college football is back. Couldn't be more excited. Tailgates, rivalries, the energy in the stands. Honestly, there's nothing like it at all. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless quotes, hidden fees, and the prices jump on you at checkout. And that's why you got to use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Honestly, it really, truly is faster, it's cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. And I love that you can get views from your seat right there in the app. Go ahead, check it out. Going to have cheap tickets for the NC Central game coming up on Friday. Obviously, the Navy game as well. But you want to start looking ahead. You want to go down to Fort Myers, man? Game Time will have you prepped. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball and football tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, we're going to keep talking about North Carolina's win over Radford on Tuesday night. The first game of the, no Seth Trimble for a while situation here. Let's bring in the box score as we continue to talk. And by the way, thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen post-game. And thanks for making Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Great stuff. Thanks for being part of it. All right, let's talk Caleb Wilson. This was his first kind of inefficient brush with adversity. Both things were true in this game. And you knew it had to go. There was no way he was going to continue to operate at the insanely efficient clip that he had been doing. There was going to come a game when he was going to struggle some. In the first half, Caleb scores quite a bit early. 4 points. He's 1 of 3 from the field, 2 of 3 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds and assists, no turnovers, and had a steal, but he only got to play 8 minutes because he had 2 pretty quick fouls. Coach Davis put him back in, this is the type of game to do that, because you don't know how a freshman's going to respond. But this is a game where if Caleb gets 3 fouls and he's not going to be able to play much, it's okay, because while Radford is a better mid-major, it's still Radford. and you're going to win the basketball game, maybe just not by as many points as you wanted. Caleb does pick up that third foul. Obviously, he's got to go to the bench at that point. And then you're wondering, okay, how does Caleb respond in the second half? Because think about how often you see somebody saddled with foul trouble, either in the first half or maybe picks up that third or fourth early in the second half. And then when they do eventually come back in late in the second half, they're ineffective and can't do anything. You know what I mean? We've all seen that game. So Caleb Wilson comes into the second half, and here's probably the biggest thing, stats aside, we'll get to those in a second. Caleb in the second half did not pick up a single foul. Sure, he had to be more careful defensively. He couldn't do everything he wanted to do, but I mean, he had a vicious block. He was able to do stuff, played 14 minutes, would have played more in a different game, but it's Radford, so we didn't need to, right? And in the second half, hear me say this, Caleb, from a shooting perspective, was wildly inefficient. I thought he was pressing a little bit, whatever, but he still had some good finds, found teammates, whatever it was. Caleb was 3 of 10 from the field in the second half, 3 of 6 at the free throw line, so not very efficient there, but had 9 points and 10 rebounds in the second half, 5 of which were offensive rebounds. So for the game, it's funny because it feels like, man, Caleb Wilson had a bad game. Well, if a bad game is 13 points and 14 rebounds with 2 assists, just 1 turnover, a block, and a steal in 22 minutes, okay, fine. Sign me up for that. Yes, it was an inefficient 4 of 13 from the field. But you know what else Caleb Wilson did? He also didn't start settling. Caleb Wilson, in all 3 official games he's played as a Tar Heel, has only taken 1 3-pointer per game. And in this one, if I remember correctly, the one that he attempted was kind of a necessary late shot clock 3. So he continues, even in a game where he's struggling, to not be a bonehead. He's playing smart basketball and just notched his first career double-double on a bad night. You know what I mean? We'll take it and live with it. Better days are ahead for Caleb Wilson. I'm encouraged by what we saw despite his struggles in this game. And you want to talk about efficient, though. Henry Vesar just continues to do it game after game after game. I haven't put his total field goal percentage together for the first 3 games, but was already shooting a crazy good percentage. I think it was 66.7% coming in, shoots 5 of 7 from the field in this game, makes the 1 3-pointer he takes. That's now 3 3-pointers on the season, with 7 of 11 at the free throw line, 7 rebounds. We've said, Henry, you have to rebound. 7 in this game. We'll take that. Absolutely. Had a block, no assist and a turnover, and played 28 minutes. That's probably more than I wanted in this game, but with Caleb's foul trouble, with Jiren's early injuries, makes sense then that Henry was going to need to play a little more time. He played 28. Luka played 31. Nobody else played more than 25. That's great. And it means that a lot of guys got time. Jonathan Powell got 22 minutes, 17 for Derek Dixon, 10 for Jaden Young. These are all minutes that are going to help down the stretch, even in big moments. So Derek Dixon, first time he's put up like some real numbers here. 7 points, not efficient shooting, but made a 3, had 4 of 6 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds. He's been sticking his nose in there. When you're absent of Seth Trimble's rebounds, somebody's got to do it. I keep saying it. He stuck his nose in, because when you look at it in totality, Carolina had 55 rebounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players had 5 or more rebounds. Derek Dixon being one of them. 1 assist, 2 turnovers. You want to get to the positive side of that, but he's going to get there. He's going to grow, and that's the opportunity that Carolina has right now. As we continue to look at this, the other thing is, one of the things I want to start watching is obviously Carolina in this game, as I said, is trying to figure out who they are as a team without Seth Trimble. This was the first opportunity to really, truly do that. So they struggled to figure out who they were in the first half, really put it together in the second, or at the last 4 minutes of the first half. And then in the second half, we're basically able to do whatever they wanted to do. They were attacking. Radford couldn't handle it, and so they were going to have to foul. Again, Carolina could have scored a lot more points if they wanted to, but it just didn't matter. And at the end of the day, 4 Radford players foul out of this basketball game by the time it was all said and done. We talked about Carolina jumping into the top 30 in KenPom defensive efficiency. One of the things we said ahead of this game was that Radford came in 6th nationally in 2-point percentage at 72% as a team. And they came in, though, 362nd nationally in three-point percentage, 27% from three as a team on the season. And you imagine, like, man, well, they're probably going to shoot better than that from three. Well, they didn't. Carolina held them to 7 of 30 from beyond the arc, 23.3%. Now, some of those are just open looks that they're missing, and probably some of that's like, oh, like, crap, I'm in the Dean Dome. You know what I mean? But still, encouraging to see that there. They finished 17 of 40 on twos. I didn't look at what that percentage is. Let's pull up the old handy dandy calculator in real time. So from two, they shot 42.5%. Way, like, that's 30 percentage points below their season average from two. So yeah, Carolina does a nice job there. Let's look at what Radford's points per possession was, 0.902. So anytime you hold a team below 1 point per possession, you feel good about that. Carolina finishes just over 1.099. The other thing I'm encouraged by in this game for Carolina, again, a sluggish, sleepy game, whatever. Carolina, one of the things they've been doing better at early in the season than they typically do in the Hubert Davis era is sharing the basketball. A lot. The first game of the season, really high up there with assist percentage. Tonight, 15 assists on 25 made baskets. That's exactly 60% of your baskets assisted. I'm looking for anything above 50. So yes, I love that. And again, 10 of those are from Kyan Evans and Luka Bogavac, who, you know, with Luka sliding into the 2-guard position, that means you're starting 1 and 2 in this game, had 10 assists to 2 turnovers. That's a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. I can live with that every day of the week. Any other big stats we want to get to? You know what? I'll catch those for the Wednesday show with Coach Rob when we do our Four Corners recap and our shady stat of the game as well. So what that means we need to do now is we've got over 150 comments in the chat. I want to see what you guys have to say, what you're thinking about, your observations and questions from this game. We'll do that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about our good friends at FanDuel. You guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game, maybe you want to ride the hot hand, good news. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to a late fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine all those live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. All of that keeps every game exciting, especially if your team's making that late push. ACC regular season odds, Carolina is somehow 4th behind Duke, Louisville, and NC State at plus 1,200. Maybe you think you like what you're seeing from Carolina and you want to get in on that action? Do it now. And if it's your first time, all the better, because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, which is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, everybody, I'm going to get a drink of water, and we're going to look at your comments over in the chat. Oh, man, need that water. Been talking a lot today. Okay. Man, a lot of stuff that we've already said. It's good. Yeah, Bobby Blanco, I appreciate this. I also like your little North Carolina State emoji there. We struggled because they fouled us 30 times and we can't get a flow going. You know, like there's something legitimately to that when that's the flow of the game. Also, I thought Radford very wisely just switching defenses regularly in this game, I thought kind of kept Carolina off of their rhythm as well. So the fouls plus the defensive switching, which again, brilliant tactic by their head coach. And I just thought Carolina, especially without Seth, who's able to overcome a lot of that just with his athleticism, caused some issues. Eric Good says, we need a few more games to get adjusted to each other. That's true at 2 levels. And this is why I like this point from Eric. Number one, it's the 3rd game of the season and you've got 49 new players. Obviously I'm being hyperbolic there, but you've got all these new players who are trying to figure each other out. You've got Luka Bogavac, who's been in America for a couple months. And it just, you know, like he's been practicing playing with the team, but he didn't play in either exhibition game and has only been playing for 3 games and was only cleared before the first one. You're also now missing Seth Trimble. This is the first time we've talked about that. All of these things factor in. And this team's still trying to figure out who are we? And that's why Carolina is playing the non-con slate that they are. Carolina is going to dominate NC Central in a name your score kind of game on Friday night. Like, all of this is true. And so just keep that up. Nintendo Nerd, our guy, says, one thing I love that Radford did was double team Caleb. We'll better prepare him for when better teams do it to him. This is something absolutely great point here from Nintendo Nerd, that Caleb Wilson is going to see some junk defenses this year. And he's got, like, the key thing is when a double team comes, to be immediately decisive. There's a couple ways to handle that. Number one, make a fast pass. Where did the double team come from? Because that guy's wide open. Unless they've rotated well, then it's maybe having to make a skip pass to the other side of the floor. Maybe it's they come from the high side, so you spin baseline and drive and either finish or kick. Caleb's athleticism is going to allow him to do that. There was a couple really sharp passes he made tonight when double teams came. And so we're watching for that. This is a great point by Nintendo Nerd. That's one of the things about games like this, is you get an opportunity to try stuff and figure some things out. Derek, our guy, what's up, Derek Tyson? Derek Tyson says, Isaac, I'd like to have your thoughts on Kyan Evans not looking to score and only having one field goal attempt, not field goal made, but attempt. This is a great point by our guy DT here. Kyan, for the game, shot 100% from the field because he took one field goal and he made it. He also had one free throw, and that one field goal was it was an and one. It was kind of that nice English field goal layup under, kind of had to spin it under the rim, gets fouled. There's his only 2 points, or only that and the free throw. So he finishes with 3 points, 2 rebounds. We already said it, but 5 assists, 2 turnovers, no blocks, and a steal in 24 minutes. This is a great question by Derek. Because of Kyan's offensive capability, both as a playmaker and a scorer, I think we're going to see different types of games from him this season. Some nights it's going to be like tonight, when he's more looking to facilitate and do other things and not call his own number scoring as much. But, you know, in a game like that, I'd like to see him in a game like tonight. I'd rather him get to more like 7 or 8 assists. So I'd like to see more of that. There's going to be other games when he's not much of a facilitator at all, and lead guard means scoring guard. There's going to be other nights when it's a nice balance of both. And so, you know, and in a game like this as well, with no Seth, Derek, I would like to see him do more of that. You also wonder, with Seth out, he has to take more of the defensive toll. When Seth's in doing everything he's doing, that allows Kyan to roam a little freer. So there's all of that, right? So we got to keep that in mind as well. Samuel Gonzalez, our guy Sam, what's up, says, we were missing a lot of open threes that we would normally make in the first half. Yeah, for the game, Carolina finishes 8 of 31 from the 3-point line, which is somehow surprisingly even better than what Radford did. But in the first half, Carolina was 4 of 14, and in the second half, 4 of 17. So it's worse in the second half. But here's a couple things. Number one, the shots look good. 5 of those 10 misses in the first half were by Luka. And man, I tell you, even with the misses, when Luka shoots, it looks like it's going in. In the second half, a lot of those are just dudes chucking late in the game, as it was just kind of like a whatever, we're still kind of playing, but not really. You know what I mean? It just kind of had those vibes at the end of the game. So there's a lot of that. Look, there's a lot more conversation to get to. I know there's a ton more comments down here and questions and stuff. I'll look at those and see if that's something that Coach Rob and I want to get to on the Wednesday show. Right now, though, I want to say a big word of thanks to all of you for coming to hang out with us tonight here on the live postcast. This is one of my favorite things we get to do. We'll do it again Friday after the NC Central game. We'll do it again Saturday after Carolina plays at Wake Forest in football. For now, though, I want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the show, go ahead and do that so you don't miss a second. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, you're missing out. The link's in the show notes, free to join. If you haven't become a Locked On Tar Heels insider, why not, sir? Why not, madam? It's a great way to go next level with the show and great way to help support the show as well. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow with Coach Rob, but until then, peace.